We're going to have a raid in a few minutes from April, so people will start coming in shortly. Hello, Foodie. Welcome. Just waiting for more people to come in. LaToya's on. Hi, Princess Lizzie. April WYD Ray. Nikki, I put the link on if you want to come up and join us. If not, no problem. Hello, I see we have beautiful Black Queen Bree on. We've got Blended Beauty 1010. Hello, thank you for joining us. Eating with Miss P, Fire and Air. Hello. Thank you, Lizzie. Hello to you as well. Sherry Green, Eating with Miss P. Hello. Hello, everyone. Just waiting for a couple more people to come up. And then we will get started. Hello, Angel Muniz. Thank you so much for coming. Guys, if you can share us out, please do. Thank you so much, Fire and Air, for that shout out. Just waiting for a couple more people and for April to come on, and then we'll get started. Wonderful. Hello, Crystal Christine. April's here. Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Shannon, also known as Brown Girl Bella on YouTube. And Safe Space of Love was created as a place of love and support for those who need to share their stories on a platform where there's no judgment There's no ridicule, and there are resources here to help support you if needed. We look forward to helping you and supporting you on your journey to healing. And we're here every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here with me, joining us today, is the beautiful LaToya Williams. LaToya is an advocate, a survivor, and a speaker, as well as a content provider here on YouTube. LaToya is the Senior Manager of Cancer Control Strategic Partnerships at the American Cancer Society, working to improve access to care and achieve health equity around cancer screenings in underserved communities. LaToya is a 12-year survivor and was diagnosed at the age of 30 with stage 3 breast cancer. After losing several family members to cancer through her survivorship, she found her passion of eliminating cancer as a major health problem by helping minority and underserved communities prevent late-stage cancer diagnosis and reducing high mortality rates through education, advocacy, raising awareness, policy, and systematic changes. As an experienced speaker who's been featured in local and national media, Ms. Williams was highlighted as a local cancer survivor, making the difference during the nationwide Stand Up to Cancer telecast, as well as the BET news special, I Survive. In addition, she addressed the National United Nations during the non-governmental organizational briefing on the prevention and control of non-communicable diseases. She has facilitated multiple American Cancer Society Making the Strides Against Breast Cancer kickoff breakfasts and contributed to an article on getting sick while Black in O magazine. She was also a featured survivor in Self magazine and a National Lady Foot Locker campaign. A native of Brooklyn, New York, Ms. Williams enjoys playing tennis, creating lifestyle content for YouTube, watching the Food Network, and cooking. She is a graduate of Grambling State University with a bachelor's degree in psychology, and she went on to earn an MBA from the University of Phoenix. And can I also add, she is a proud member and fellow sorority sister of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And now, without further delay, let me introduce to you all LaToya Williams. Welcome, LaToya. I think you're still muted. Hang on a second. Turn it up a little bit so we can hear.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much, Doris Shannon, for inviting me to this great platform that I'm just learning about. And hello to all of you who have joined. I do hope that what I have to share today is helpful, impactful, and even comforting in some manner. So, a little bit more about me. I mean, the introduction was rather lengthy. I'm so sorry it was so long, but I'm a 12-year survivor. And when I say in 2007, my life changed, and I have not stopped going since 2007. It was an October day. Actually, let me rewind. It was January of 2007. I found a small lump, maybe the size of a pea. And I went to the doctor doing everything I thought I was supposed to do. And the doctor sent me home and said, come back in 6 months. I'm sure it's just fatty tissue. Now, with my
Hang on one
history,
second, LaToya. You're going in and out. So maybe move up a little bit closer so we can.
sure. Is that better?
Yes. Okay, continue at the beginning.
Okay, so in 2007 of January, I found a small lump, maybe the size of a pea, and I went to the doctor doing everything I thought I was supposed to be doing. So that doctor sent me home saying, "Oh, come back in 6 months. I'm sure it's just fatty tissue. I'm sure it's nothing." So I'm trusting the word of the doctor. But my history is that I found my first breast lump at the age of 13. while both of my grandmothers were battling breast cancer. Sadly, they passed away 8 months apart from each other on my paternal and maternal side. But it was kind of scary for a 13-year-old to find an egg-sized tumor in your chest and you didn't even have like real boobs. Like I was always itty bitty titty committee kind of girl. And then I had this like very pronounced side and the very flat side. So we knew something was up, something was off. They removed the lump. Luckily, at age 13, it was just fatty tissue fibroadenoma. Fast forward 17 years later, taking you to 2007, I come back 6 months later, and now that small p I just described to you is a walnut. So this doctor, he proceeds to doing what they call a core needle biopsy. That's where they take this very big needle and it has an opening at the end that actually snatches tissue from the sample through your breast. So he did the core needle biopsy and the results came back negative. But in my wise mind, which we all have, ladies and gents, is your gut feeling, I proceeded to say I wanted a lumpectomy. I wasn't like keen on the results because it was moving too fast. And now we have WebMD where we can kind of do a little research ourselves, right? So a lump growing that fast was not normal. I don't care what those core needle biopsy results said. I followed my wise mind. I had the lumpectomy in the beginning of October. I went back for my follow up about a week later to check the incision and get my results. Now, the doctor told me after the lumpectomy, if you don't hear anything, I'm sure that's good news. Everything is fine. I didn't hear anything. So I'm back for my follow up care to get the stitches removed, and the pathology reports never came in. So he's running frantically trying to get them faxed over. And this doctor comes back looking like a ghost. And he just started rambling off all of this medical jargon saying that, I'm sorry, Miss Williams, but you have invasive ductal carcinoma. I'm going to connect you with the oncologist and like blah, blah, blah. So for the first 10 minutes, I had no idea he was trying to tell me that I had breast cancer. And when it finally hit me, I'm like, wait, I automatically went in my young mind, I'm going to die. So I followed his instructions to the T. And this is when I was not so smart. You just don't know what you don't know during that time. So I go in for what they call a portacath insert to administer chemo. And it's just like a bulb. You can see the scar here that they put it underneath your skin to kind of save your veins when administering chemotherapy. I go in for this outpatient surgery, supposed to be in and out. I ended up in the hospital for 3 weeks because he punctured my lung during this very simple outpatient surgery. So I'm in the hospital 3 weeks, punctured lung. It collapsed twice, trying to get it back to normal. Now chemo is delayed. Going for chemo, the portacath does not work. So then he inserts it into my arm. I don't know if I'm off camera. When this should have been the place he inserted it in the first place. But I'm going to get into health disparities in a minute and what we have to deal with, like as people of color. So I finally get chemo started. I'm just not taking it well. My mind was all messed up. I was just automatically thinking I was going to die. Chemo is just not going to work for me. So finally, we get past the phase of chemo, go into radiation. Supposed to get this 5 days a week, every day for 8 straight weeks, no interruptions. The hospital I had radiation at, the machine was always broken. So I would go in, and it was be days that I couldn't even get my radiation administered. So I'm thinking, what happens? They told me 8 straight consistent weeks, 5 days a week, and here we are on week 10, and I'm still not finished. How is this going to impact my treatment? So after that, I just had to get smart. I had already had a mastectomy on one side, so I was walking around with one breast at the time, and I did that for 5 years. My diagnosis came back as stage 3 invasive ductal carcinoma, and I had positive lymph nodes. That could have been prevented had he listened to me when it was just the size of a small pea. So now I realize, and this is how I decided to change my career. I was working for an engineering company during that time that I absolutely hated. And I noticed a posting for the American Cancer Society. I didn't know if I was qualified or not, but I said, I'm just going to go for it. So I'm so glad I made that decision. I met a director at one of the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer walk who I befriended, and she was kind of coaching me through all of this. And she helped me land a position, my very first position, as a community mission manager. So I worked closely with communities of all colors, all races, Department of Health, you name it, I work with them. I enjoy that job so much that I started to take it to new levels. So fast forward, I delivered a couple of projects to help people that look like me. And I realized that you could die based on your zip code, and that determines the quality of care you're getting. So as I learned more and more about the systems, especially the ones that I was treated at, I decided to uproot my care, move it from Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn, but I would not get my fingernail clipped at most of these hospitals here, and I mean that. So I went to Manhattan, and I realized the difference right off the bat in the quality of care. I had doctors that listened to me. I mean, it cost a little more, but this is my life. It's worth the investment, right? The technology was up to par. The doctors were up on the latest research. Like, they explained so much to me that I really didn't have any real questions for them afterwards. So I want people to understand that you have options out there, and it's like shopping for a good pair of shoes. Just because they're pretty, that doesn't mean that they feel good. So you want to interview your doctor as if you're hiring them for your company. And if you don't feel that connection with that person, it's okay to find another doctor. And I learned that the hard way after a punctured lung and so many other things that went wrong. So now I have this great opportunity to work with these systems that I once upon a time abandoned in my new line of work as a cancer control strategic partnership representative for American Cancer Society. And what I do is not so much the police, but I was trained as a quality improvement coach in Atlanta. And I go into these systems and I work with them to show them where they have gaps in care. I also provide resources to these systems so they can offer quality solutions and help patients that look like me and improve those grades that they get every year as a hospital. So it's up to them as to whether they are willing to accept that free help I'm coming in and offering them with the support and backing of American Cancer Society funding. So I've worked closely with the NFL, and they donated quite a bit of money to help fight health disparities and cancer disparities in underserved communities. So I would grant these dollars to systems that I know need the most help, not systems that are doing great and up and running, but the ones that I know need the most help. So bringing those dollars to the zip code that I live in, it means something to me because 10 years from now, they might finally be offering that quality care that Manhattan offers and everyone else is starting to offer. So I'm very excited about the work that I do. And cancer is not a joke. You have to take care of yourself, starting from your mind all the way down to your feet. The way you look, it matters. Because you don't want to walk out looking like the sick girl, because the way people then treat you, um, it doesn't make you feel good, and it does impact how you accept your own, the way you eat. I grew up on a Southern diet. I canned all of that crap, from cooking greens with fat pork and high salt. Dumped all of that, and I learned about very nutritious things. Exercising. I play tennis. I like to ride my bike, but I also am a daredevil, I guess you could say. So I have rappelled down buildings. I have jumped out of planes, and recently, well, not recently, but I've taken up pole fitness. So, so my
I don't know if they heard that part because you were jumping in and out. She said she jumps out of planes, airplanes. Go ahead.
yes, jumping out of planes, rappelling down skyscrapers, and you can see some of these things on my YouTube page that I started kind of capturing some of my bucket list items. So if you want to check me out, LaToya Michelle, I would appreciate the support. But it's geared towards empowering people to live their best life right now and on purpose while you have this life. You don't have to be a cancer survivor. or anything. It's just about living your life right now. Who would have thought COVID would try to take us all out? But have you lived your dreams yet? If not, now is the time to get started. If not, you never know what tomorrow will hold. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So I would love to open the floor in case anyone has any questions for LaToya. If not, we'll go back to our Q&A because I had a couple of questions of my own, but I really wanted to open the door for other people who may have had someone that they know of that is currently going through cancer or maybe going through this themselves. Here's an opportunity to talk with a 12-year survivor of cancer and hear firsthand from her what's going on and how you can best arm yourself and be your own breast advocate. Carolyn Eats says it's sad because not many of us have the extra income to pay for care. And if the money isn't coming into those low income communities, the doctors are not going to give the care.
absolutely. And there are programs, and I'm going to speak specifically to the New York City area, where this one woman that decided to take her own means, she grew up in foster care, but she ended up marrying wealthy. And when she went for treatment after getting diagnosed with breast cancer, she realized that everyone in that treatment room didn't look like her. She was the only woman of color. So she wanted to do something about that. And I have to really applaud people who want to roll up their sleeves and help their community. So she started this program called the Beatrice Welters Outreach and Navigation Program, and it's housed under NYU Langone Health. And it's a weird partnership, but they're also housed out of Bellevue, which is the safety net hospital. And what they do is break down structural barriers for people in need, whether it's childcare, rent, whatever it might be, that's preventing that woman from going to get her mammogram. And they work with that person from the time they make the call and identify that she's in need, or if she called them, all the way to continuum of care through screening, diagnosis, treatment, and it's costing this woman absolutely nothing. So programs like that do exist. There's just not enough of them out there. But I encourage you all to reach out to the American Cancer Society, and you can call them 24/7. I know most of us only know them as a walk, but we do a lot more than just that. But call us 24/7, 800 227 2345, and they will type in your zip code and tell you exactly what resources are in your community, whether it's financial guidance or if you need a wig or if you just have a lot of medical questions that you need help understanding, they're here for you. So I encourage you to use that. And I also provided a bunch of resources for Shannon that are online if you just don't feel like talking to people right away. To help educate yourself. And it's not just for breast cancer, it's for all cancer types.
Absolutely. Let me hold, please, while I grab her link.
You got them. I know there were a lot of links.
No problem. No, I want to have everybody get your actual YouTube link. It's in the description box, but I'll also put it in the chat.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, thank you. I'm finally seeing the comments over here. Thank you.
Yay! Awesome.
Thank you, Eating with Miss P.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, everyone. And please feel free to ask me any questions. I'm an open book. So go for it. Give me your best shot.
Okay. All right. And guys, we also have a cash app for Safe Space of Love that goes back into the resources for people who need it. So it's scrolling across the bottom there, and that's for Safe Space of Love. I saw that there was a comment about you being a daredevil. So if you could talk a little bit about that, what made you choose to just really grab life and go for it and jump out of planes and do all those other things that you enjoy doing?
So it started when I was in one of my chemotherapy sessions. I realized, dang, I'm only 30, first of all, and life has changed so much. So that was the year I got my MBA. I was supposed to get married. Like everything was great. And just like that, the rug was snatched from under me, and I thought life was over. You know, I got dumped and diagnosed in the same week. He probably was the cancer, but we won't even go there. I'm, I'm glad he's gone. Um, so while I'm writing this list, which most people call a bucket list, I named it a life list. I just started writing stuff down. I didn't know if it would come true or not. It's just things I always thought I wanted to do or aspired to do that I never had a chance to do. So as I'm writing this list, and as unrealistic as it seemed, it's power in writing things down. So I encourage everyone to get a journal book and just start writing. It does not have to make sense right now because you're manifesting when you start writing. So 1 year out, this was October 9th, 2008. I wanted to celebrate my 1 year cancerversary. And it was my coworker's wife who said, "Hey, we're doing a group trip to go skydiving. Are you interested?" These are a bunch of people that I don't know, but I was like, why not? I actually wrote that down on my list. So that's where it all began. And then I kind of made a pact with myself and a reason to keep living that every cancerversary that comes up, I'm going to celebrate it by doing something I've never done in life before. So that's my way of staying alive, number one, fulfilling that bucket list, and having something to always look forward to in life. So I had the prices right on there. I finally did that last year. No, I didn't get to come on down, but I could check that off my list. I had being in a glossy magazine. I just wrote glossy magazine on there. I'd actually been in a few, and that shocked me too. So there's power when you write things down, and it's also like your to-do list to make sure that you're holding yourselves accountable to actually living your best life right now and on purpose.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, Queen Bree Bree. Oops, hang on a second. There we go. She says, it's so refreshing to hear your story. My mother's sisters and grandmother died of cancer and other health complications. Can you talk a little bit about resources that are available for people who aren't necessarily going through the disease, but have a loved one or someone that they know who is going through that?
Yes. So I think April might have put some of those links in there. I think I did see a few of them, but I shared quite a few links, and some of them are specifically for caregivers because they go through a lot and they're like unspoken heroes. I can't tell you all that my father did when I was going through chemo, but I also saw his health kind of being challenged too. And I don't want my father to die trying to save my life. And that's where American Cancer Society was extremely helpful with kind of coaching him through the process as well to make things easier. And I, ask all people, don't be afraid to reach out for help. And it's not just American Cancer Society that's out there. Now, a lot of hospitals, like times have changed so much over these past 12 years, are finally getting hip to treating the entire human being, not just the cancer focus. So a lot of hospitals have support groups. They have cooking classes. I've taken a cooking class at my hospital, recommended by my oncologist because she wanted me to eat healthier. Um, there's so many unspoken resources, and it's like my mom said, a closed mouth does not get fed. Ask your doctor and they should know. Ask your hospital administrator, they should know. Go online and kind of stalk these hospitals' websites, and you'll be surprised what you see coming up in their upcoming events. Sign up for their newsletters. You'll be surprised what resources they have coming up for survivors, whether it's for group cooking classes or opportunity to speak about your situation on a bigger platform. So I encourage you to be curious. Don't be afraid to be curious and really do some deep dives and digging and asking questions and reaching out to people, because that's the way that we get smarter through each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you could talk a little bit about our current situation and what we're going through. Right now, you can't just walk into a doctor's office, or you can't just go and make an appointment or go to an ER. So what can we do if, God forbid, we see something or we feel something? What should we do first?
Definitely don't ignore it, number one. And I've been having a lot of conversations with the health systems that I work with, and a lot of trainings have come out for providers over these past couple months on when it's safe to start screening again. So a lot of systems, they may not be screening at 100% just yet, but they are taking emergency cases, and they have a whole workflow and protocol set up. So if you feel a lump, or if you're not feeling good, or if something's going on, most hospitals have what they call telehealth. So it's an opportunity to link and speak with your doctor directly online if they offer telehealth, or find a system that does offer telehealth where they can kind of assess you and tell you whether or not you should head straight to the doctor and what, to expect when you get there, or if this is something that, you shouldn't be too alarmed about. But I would say definitely start with your provider. If you do not have a provider, I encourage everyone to get a primary care doctor. This is your doctor that oversees your overall health and refers you to the appropriate specialist. So you're not wasting money going to see specialists you probably didn't even have to see in the first place. So a lot of people of color do not have primary care doctors. Like, it's a lot of things that we have to do better in order for the ebb and flow of life to work better for us when it comes to these systems. We need advocates. Advocacy is a big deal because the government is the number one funder for cancer research, and they're trying to cut it all the time, as you can see. So we need people to be the voices. So we do not have to be threatened with these cuts that cut the programs and free services that are offered in our communities. So advocate, knowing your system, your doctor, asking questions, calling the 800 number I just provided. But systems are still seeing patients, just more at a limited capacity and more prioritized capacity, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And guys, if you would like to become a breast advocate, we do have that toll-free number in the description box so that you can go and find out how you can advocate for breast cancer as well, because you don't have to be a survivor of the disease to advocate. You can just do it within your local area and really help bring that message home, because believe you me, a lot of our faces need to be out there because they don't see us as often as we should.
Mhm. And another resource that I forgot to add is our affiliate organization, acscan.org. And it's a nationwide grassroots organization for anyone who cares about the issue of cancer and wants to be a voice. We host trips to the capitals of these states where we make appointments and meet with these legislators face to face. We train our advocates on what to say, how to make the ask, and we flood their offices with petitions, because when the power of numbers, especially when it comes up on voting season, they start paying closer attention to make sure they don't vote down cutting funding and things of that nature. So we need the power of numbers in every zip code throughout the United States to make these legislators pay attention. So acscan.org, click on your state, find out what the federal, local, and state priorities are.
Absolutely. And we have a question. Beautiful Black Queen Bree said, my doctors have said to start getting screenings at 30 because of my family history. Does this hold true because of family history?
So yes, there's definitely truth in that. But also knowing your own body, because yes, I have a cancer history in my family, but when I did genetic testing, it came back that my cancer is not genetic. So it did not come from the family. It's something else in the universe or the environment driving my particular cancer. So it's important to definitely be checked if you have a family history, but it also kind of varies. So I'll use colorectal cancer, for instance. The guidelines that the American Cancer Society have now are more particular. And we recently updated it starting at age 50 to starting at age 45 because a lot of younger people are getting diagnosed, sadly, with colorectal cancer. But if you have a close relative, let's say that was diagnosed at 45, that you know of, that means all the relatives are supposed to get screened 10 years earlier. And that's the more specific one. So at whatever age your mom, dad, brother, or anyone in your family was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, you are to start getting screened 10 years earlier from that age onset, if that makes sense. Breast, mhm. So
Yeah,
we
go
changed
ahead.
guidelines to start having the conversation with your doctors at 40, but those guidelines are for the average risk. And we're still um, preparing the high risk guidelines, so those have not rolled out yet. So just to be clear, the guidelines you see with the American Cancer Society are for average risk, not high risk. So definitely work with your doctor if he or she feels you should start getting trained earlier, especially if you're having symptoms.
Okay. I wanted to ask two other questions related to this. In terms of really advocating for your own breast health, what are some of the signs and symptoms that we as women should be looking out for?
So we have all of that on cancer.org and tutorials. But
Okay.
I found my lump through just doing a self breast exam in the shower. Although we don't really support clinical breast exams anymore because it's not really evidence based. There's so many women walking around that felt a lump, did absolutely nothing about it. So we go straight for if you feel something, get screened. Or when you become of age or something like that, make sure you get your mammography or your sonogram, because mammography is a little tricky too as to why they don't screen people under 40 for mammography necessarily, and it has something to do with the density of your breast. You can get a lot of false positives that way. So that's why the recommendations are really set at the higher age. But there are people in their 20s getting diagnosed that I've met. I met a young lady recently, 19, getting diagnosed with breast cancer. So I just say be aware of your body. If you have itching, a rash, puckling of the nipple, pus from the nipple, you feel a prominent lump, like pay attention to the changes in your breast and don't ever feel afraid of asking, hey, is this normal? Make an appointment with your doctor, reach out to a specialist of some sort. But if you notice any slight change, don't ignore it.
Exactly. And for the men who are listening and watching, understand that men can get breast cancer as well.
Yes.
Richard Roundtree, who is famous for the movie Shaft as the leading guy in that movie, was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Beyonce's father.
And Beyonce's father is now diagnosed, yes.
And I know a couple of males myself that's been diagnosed with breast cancer. So, men, you're not excluded. You may not be able to get a mammogram, but there are other tests out there that can determine what your status is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other questions? I'm looking through the chat to see if there was any other questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we have someone here who can, just talk you through. She's been through it. We're not doctors on here. We're not telling you to do anything but be an advocate for your own health. It's up to you to decide what normal feels like for you. And if it doesn't feel like it fits, I say go and talk to someone and make sure that you are feeling your optimal best. Especially right now with everything that's going on, you just need to be very hyper aware of what is going on with your body.
Yeah.
So Princess Lizzie, who is in her 20s, she said her GYN taught her to check for lumps in her breasts. Very good.
And at Crystal, something about BRCA1 gene I seen up here.
Um, Crystal Christine, what if you have to get tested for the BRCA1 gene?
Yeah, if you have a family history, they're starting to do genetic testing. If you can afford it, or if your insurance will pay for it. They're starting to do genetic tests. Don't let them just test you for BRCA1. We have to get tested for both BRCA1 and BRCA2. So it's a series of questions. What is genetic testing? So they ask you a very intense it's an intense questionnaire that they start off with, and then they take a blood sample that goes to, like, I think 30 to 80 panels, different things that they're testing for in your genetics. And that basically tells you what your outcome was. So I just did it again recently because I heard that it's more advanced now, and I was only tested for BRCA1, but it still shows the same results. My cancer was not genetic. So those who do have genetic cancers, that's when they have the conversation with you about next steps. And some people go extreme and get prophylactic surgery, and that's just the removal and reconstruction of both of your breasts, so you don't have to worry about, cancer, breast cancer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Any other questions? Yes, men can get breast cancer as well. LaToya, I know you are speaking specifically about breast cancer, but are there any other forms of cancer that we as Black people should be made aware of and how to really arm ourselves?
So before I even answer that question, I have
Uh-huh.
to hop on my soapbox and
Okay.
really, really fuss about why it's so important to fund research. 20 years ago, I don't even remember how many years ago, when both of my grandmothers were going through it, they didn't have the options that I had. So that goes to show you how advanced research was from the early 90s to when I got diagnosed in 2007. And not only that, the American Cancer Society funded the researchers that found the drugs tamoxifen and Herceptin, which you may have heard of or know someone that's currently using these drugs. But they're hormonal drugs that actually have survivors living longer lives than 20 years ago when they did not have that option at all. So we have to keep funding research, because you never know when you might hear those words, you have cancer, or God forbid your babies 10 years from now that they hear those words. And American Cancer Society has research going on for all types of cancers. But the cancers that we know we have screening tools for, not every cancer has a screening tool. Some of them, like pancreatic cancer, hard to diagnose. Ovarian cancer, hard to diagnose until it's in, like, the far fatal stages, right? But the ones that we can prevent early are breast, colorectal, prostate, and cervical. So these are the four cancers that we actually have screening tests for. But research has to continue so we can develop screening tools to detect those other more complex cancers at an earlier stage, and not when it's stage 4, practically, you're out the door. So I have to hop on my soapbox. And on Thursday, we're kicking off something called Share the Light that I want you all to tune into on Facebook Live. We have a bunch of celebrity guests that's been impacted one way or the other by cancer, to help really drive the donations in for research, because our research is at risk. So I hope that answered your question, and also tied in why we have to keep funding research, especially as people of color, because it's not enough of us in those clinical trials.
Absolutely. And then on Thursday, so that we can put that into the chat for more information and for people to tune in, because I think that you will really find out how important it is to be an advocate for this, because believe it or not, there's more of us dying from the disease than ever. And so we really need to be advocates in our areas where we live and really take that information and tell these politicians that we elected into office that, hey, this matters. So bring it up to committee, bring it up when you have your meetings. We need fundings. We need you to really bring that home and advocate. So once again, LaToya, tell them where to go on Thursday so we can make sure that our people are there and watching.
So it's a Facebook Live event, and you can go to cancer.org/share the light, and you will see all of the information of how to get involved, when to tune in. So that's Thursday, the 16th at 7 p.m. We want to see you there so you can see the great performances. I know we have Patti LaBelle, Kirk Franklin, and quite a few others that will be joining that live stream. So I do hope you sit around with your families and get some popcorn, maybe a glass of vino, and enjoy.
Awesome. Awesome. So we have just under 15 minutes left. If anyone has a question, I'm still opening the floor. I see a lot of comments coming in. Crystal Christine says the most accurate way to check for lumps is at home in the shower. Carolyn Eats All says, my uncle and aunt on my mom's side died from cancer, and my uncle on my father's side as well from cancer. My mom has been cancer-free for 7 years, and she herself has had a lumpectomy.
Wow, God bless you, Carolyn.
Absolutely. And congrats to your mom for being cancer-free.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I lost my uncle 5 years ago from lung cancer at the age of 52, but he was also a smoker. If you know anybody with who's still on those cigarettes, listen. We can connect you to some resources to help them quit, because lung cancer is real, and when you, God forbid, COVID hits you and your lungs are already in a weakened state, you don't want to have to deal with that type of impact. Because people that's going, majority people of color are dying from COVID, they're saying on the news. But when you think about the socioeconomic circumstances, a lot of them are smokers, a lot of them were already in bad shape, not eating healthy. So whatever we can do today to get our bodies right, we can fight the good fight. God forbid anything, is thrust upon us in the future. So you want to always
Absolutely.
be healthy, mind, body, and soul.
Absolutely. Princess Lizzie had a question. What about people that don't have Facebook?
So I will check that out and let Shannon know. But if you just go to thecancer.org/share the light, I believe there are other options to join as well. But I only know of Facebook right now. Forgive me, this was just uh, thrust upon me on Monday, and now I'm trying to like look it out. And I'm like, wow, it's like,
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Yes, I was like calling on the shield, like, I need your help with this. So I thank you so much, LaToya, for jumping in and helping us. I see comments coming in. Congratulations to Carolyn East All's mom on her cancer survival. Fruity Squad says her aunt, her mom's sister, is a breast cancer survivor and will be 87 this year. God bless her.
yeah, breast friends.
And G Free says her aunt died from lung cancer and never smoked a day in her life. Yeah, secondhand smoke is real.
It's not just that, it's the environment. We're
In the environment as well.
If you have lungs, you can get lung cancer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I do hope that you all subscribe to my YouTube page and
yes.
questions. Tell me what you want on that page. It's around uplifting people and being an inspiration and bringing some education to you all. So just let me know what it is you want, and I got you.
Yes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about when you decided to come into the YouTube family with the time we have left, and then also when we can see uploads of your content?
So I jumped on YouTube maybe 5 years ago, I think I started, and I posted one video. And that was because it was so long. It was like 7 minutes, and that was the only platform I was able to share with my family and stuff out of state back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, it's something to YouTube. About 2 years ago, I ended up getting a hysterectomy, and I was home on medical leave, and I just started binge watching YouTube, and I was like falling in love, and I was like, I'm gonna try this. So I guess you could say since 2018, that's when I started teaching myself how to edit, got myself a camera, and just started filming things and trying to go through my archives and putting things together. So it's a lot of footage that I just have that I still want to piece together and show you guys.
Yeah.
But I try to upload weekly. I do have a video I need to upload probably tonight. But I try to upload like every Sunday/Monday. I have to get more consistent with it. I'm like, can't even say a micro YouTuber. I'm an infant. I'm a newborn to this, but I appreciate the support, the love, and I hope, to just be an inspiration to you all and we can learn from each other.
Absolutely. Once again, her YouTube channel is called LaToya Michelle. I would like to thank her again from the bottom of my heart, my sister, my soror. Thank you so much for jumping in and helping us out in this endeavor. I hope that everyone enjoyed the opportunity to hear from a 12-year survivor who's still fighting the fight every day through her organization. And if you can tune in to that Facebook, again, hit them with the information, LaToya.
Cancer.org/share the light.
Cancer.org/share the love.
Light.
Light.
Share the light. Yes. And for those of you who have lost relatives, be that person in the family to carry the torch, because that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm carrying the torch for my grandmothers, my uncles, my cousins, all of those family members who I've lost to cancer. And yesterday was my granddad's birthday, so here's the torch, Grandpa. I'm running with it, and we are going to eliminate cancer, but we can only do this together. And here's my healing companion, everyone.
There's a furry baby.
I got him as my chemo gift. So most women get a push gift when they give birth. I got a chemo gift, and he is my baby. So
yes. Well, thank you again, LaToya, for coming on and sharing your story. I wish you much continued success in your YouTube journey.
Yeah.
Don't forget, call me whenever you need it. Yeah, I owe you one, Soror. So whatever you need, I got you.
It was all mine. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Tune in again next week when we will be talking about domestic violence. So
I didn't hit nobody, I promise.
So thank you all for joining us. Have the rest of your day be wonderful. And until next time, we'll see you back here.
Thank you, everyone. Got to go to another meeting.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Like I said, tune in next week. We have our schedule posted on Safe Space of Love. So if you don't have us, please feel free to subscribe and join us as we talk about more issues concerning our communities. Until next time, take care, everyone.